And the Burning Man murder mystery continues at the time of this recording. And remember, things are subject to change by the time you watch this video. But at the time of this recording, law enforcement still knows nothing, which is suspect in itself when you really think about it. Because this is a huge festival, over 70,000 attendees. And that does not include the hundreds, if not thousands, of law enforcement officers that are out there at the festival as well. And you got to remember that this happened on the biggest night of all, as they're burning the Burning Man effigy. There are tens of thousands of people in the crowd. And somehow, some way, a man is found murdered in a pool of blood in the middle of this crowd, and no one is saying anything. No one knows anything. In fact, the party just kept going on until some people who were there saw the guy lying on the ground and went and told law enforcement. But when I say law enforcement knows nothing, I literally mean they know nothing. They're not being tight-lipped. They're not being secretive about what they know because there's an investigation going on. Not only do they not know who the suspect is, they don't even know who the victim is. They haven't even been able to identify the victim yet at the time of this recording. And let me tell you, nobody goes to Burning Man alone. Either you travel out to Burning Man with friends, family, or a significant other, or you go to Burning Man and you meet some friends out there. No one is just like, hey, I'm going to go to Burning Man by myself. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anyone there. That doesn't happen. To even get to Burning Man, there's a process to it. Okay? So, either A, there's some people who were at this festival with the person who was murdered, and I guess they just went home and didn't say anything. Or B, this is just a random guy that no one knew, no one ever saw, no one ever talked to, which is very, very unlikely. I would assume that he had friends, someone out there at that festival who knew him. And as of right now, no one has come forward to identify him. No one that knows the guy has spoken out. There's nothing. Law enforcement has, they have interviewed a few people, but what's a few people out of 70,000? But now the festival is over. Everyone's on the way home, and they still have to identify this guy. Now, the news has been trying to speak to certain people who were at the festival. No one's really saying much, but they are talking to people, so I want to show you a clip of that really quickly. But first, if you guys enjoy the channel, if you enjoy the videos, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button. It helps the channel out way more, way more than you know. Almost lost my voice there. So make sure you hit that like button, and maybe I'll, maintain my voice for the next couple of days. I can feel it going out for sure. But hit that like button, and then I'm going to roll this clip, and then I'll be right back with more.
Top story is the homicide case at Burning Man that is under investigation. The Pershing County Sheriff's Office in Nevada says the case appears to be a, quote, singular crime. Someone flagged down a deputy last night saying a man was lying in a pool of blood. Several people in the area were interviewed by deputies. There's been no announcement of any arrests. The sheriff's office says they now have additional deputies at the scene. ABC 7 News reporter Suzanne Fawn caught up with one Bay Area resident returning home from Burning Man tonight and has more on the unusual turn of events in the past week.
Burning Man was such an experience all around, mixed bag. Tien Crisanto is driving back to the Bay Area from her first trip to Burning Man. Her boots are dusty. Dust blankets her car and her beloved bike. It was a wild ride for Crisanto and others. They had to deal with Mother Nature's fierce dust storms, the massive crowds, and so much more.
Waited in a 7-hour line to get in, but made it in, and then it rained as soon as I got there, and my camp flooded.
Crisanto says the music around the clock and the expansive displays were exceptional.
Yeah, so I just happened upon this walking back to my camp.
Crisanto, a former fashion designer, handmade 5 costumes just for Burning Man.
Here's my fur coat.
In the middle of Burning Man last Wednesday came an unexpected birth of a baby. The mother had no idea she was pregnant.
I feel like what burners say is that's just Burning Man, right? That's the Burning Man experience.
On Saturday night, a disturbing discovery. Law enforcement now investigating a homicide after a man was found dead. Crisanto had already left.
Very scary that someone could have been murdered.
With as many as 80,000 people at Burning Man, Crisanto says there's a huge police presence at the event. Crisanto said she had an incredible time and a challenging time at Burning Man. She's glad she left early.
It literally never fails. Every time you see an interview with one of these people, they talk about what a great time they had, what a magical experience it was. But as you listen to them explaining their experience, it's usually absolutely horrific. Like, yeah, Burning Man was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It was so great. I sat in traffic for 10 hours straight trying to get there. And then when I got there, my camp was flooded. It was muddy. All of my clothes were ruined. And then there were constant dust storms. But hey, it was just so amazing. And it's just like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like these people leave this festival in a trance. And how they describe their experience is way different than how the experience looks from outsiders. And I get it. You're there. You know better than anyone else, right? Wrong. In today's day and age, we have social media. The cameras are rolling 24/7. You could go on TikTok. You can go on Instagram. And for every cool little scene you see of people dancing around, you will see nonstop horror stories of people stuck in mud, people fighting dust storms, people running out of food, all types of nonsense going on. And I feel like when you try to interview a regular person about their experience at Burning Man, you're never going to really find out what really goes on there. Because I feel like there's different experiences to be had when you go out to that festival. I think that a normal person like me or one of you watching this video, if we go to Burning Man, our experience is going to be much different than the experience that these billionaires and these millionaires and these trust fund babies and these celebrities, our experience is going to be different than their experience. Because make no mistake about it, the powerful people are out there. The actors, the singers, everyone you could think of, they're out there at Burning Man. 9 times out of 10, I'm telling you, you would be surprised who is out there. Politicians, all types of people. And you might never see them. You might never know it because your experience at Burning Man is much different than theirs. So I think people can go to Burning Man and have a good time and party a little bit without actually knowing what's going on behind the scenes, or maybe what's going on over there in that tent, or what happens in that RV, right? But at the end of the day, they still all gather together and they all give their energy while chanting and screaming and dancing in front of this burning effigy. And maybe they don't know what they're doing. They think it's just cool and fun. But maybe the more powerful people behind the scenes knows what's going on. You know what I mean? So I think there's different elements and there's different levels to something like the Burning Man Festival. And the average attendee doesn't really know how about the darker side. Or in some cases, I think the average person sometimes does get wrapped up in that stuff, but they kind of are kind of hush mouth about it, or maybe they just don't fully understand what they're doing. But I feel like at some point, when you find yourself surrounded by a bunch of people, like it's a cult, while you're burning effigies in the middle of the desert, it kind of has to hit you at some point, like, damn, this is just like a cult. This is like some pagan ritual type ish. You know what I mean? Like, does that realization never hit? Does that thought never cross these people's mind? I don't know. But hey, right now, we're going to have to try to figure out, and when I say we, I mean the investigators out there, they're going to have to try to figure out who in the hell killed this person. But first, they're going to have to figure out who in the hell the person is. So they got an uphill battle to climb. And that area out there, there's just constant sandstorms and stuff. So I don't know how much evidence they're going to be working with. It's just, it's going to be a mess of an investigation. And now everyone's gone. So we'll see how this plays out. I'll keep you updated. Let me know your thoughts, though, down below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.